Dive Show, back with another episode. We are deep diving PulseChain, Hex, and all of the things associated with it. And we have a very interesting question today. And that is, what is up with them copying Ethereum when they launched? Got some questions there I'd love to have answered. I'd love to know a lot more about it. Hopefully you guys are as curious about it as I am. Let's take a look at this 4 hour. We're back above, that's what I want to see. We're back above that 200-day moving average on the 4 hour. The red line, 200-day moving average. The white line, the 21-day moving. Must be dusty in my office because I am always sneezing when I start the stream. Anyways, enough of that. Back above the 200-day. Looks like we're going to get a crossing here, the 21, as long as we can hold up. So we have this dip. We got back above. All right. And then now it looks like that 21, the white line, in this red line, which is a 200, are going to cross each other, which is bullish. For how long it's bullish, how bullish it is, that is yet to be seen. I'm not going to speak on that necessarily, but I do like to see that. Let's go to the 1 hour. It's kind of the same vibe, except for you already had the 21 and the 200 cross here on the 1 hour, right? That would be right there. 21 and the 200 cross. On the 1 hour, which says we're probably going to get it on the 4 hour unless something catastrophic happens and we just fall down really bad, really fast. But I don't necessarily think that is going to happen. I was moving my computer and mics and everything around today. Let's see where we're at. Let me make sure I didn't mess everything up. All right, cool. There we go. Shout out to all my undergrounders. Melissa, thank you for all you do. Struggle Heart in the building. What's good? What's good? Struggle Heart, I didn't forget about you. Please get me a contract address, man, so I can send you that $10 I owe you. I don't want it to get forgotten about. Camsta, welcome in, welcome in. Camsta said, did you hear the trade alert on YouTube? What does that mean? What trade alert? I bet the Charleston would go well to this song. Could imagine. Yeah, we love that song in the beginning. These accounts here, it's like I'm going to keep mining Tetrum until September because it's super easy. I'm going to keep mining Tetrum until it was literally posted from 2 different accounts. Hilarious. It's obviously bots. It's obviously scammers. I almost knocked my drink over. That would have been terrible. But it is hilarious. They come on like every post, every reel, everything, and they post about this Tetrum. But they'll say the craziest things. They'll be like, oh, wow, you said Tetrum is going to this price. Like, I don't even know what Tetrum is. It's hilarious. They try to rope people in. Anyway, shout out to the bots. Keep botting. Keep boosting this channel. Not that I really feel like they do. They mostly subscribe, and then I watch the subscriptions disappear. And I know it's the bots getting deleted off of YouTube. Blues Guy. What's up, Blues Guy? Welcome in, welcome in. It says gratitude in the house. Hola, everyone. Glad to see you all. UG, brother. Yep, great to see you. I finally have some time to say hi. Well, thank you for dropping on in, Blues Guy. We always love to see you here. It's a song, trade alert. Oh, okay. Now I got you. That makes sense. I'll have to look that up, Camsta. UG needs a song. Yeah, maybe one day I'll put one of my songs on the intro. Probably won't be very crypto related, though, so it'll probably just confuse the heck out of everybody, but it'll still be fun. So let's talk about this live stream, right? The series, I should say, that we're doing this week. Monday, we mapped out the complete Hex and PulseChain ecosystem, roughly. Yesterday, we opened the Hex contract and examined how T-shares, inflation, and penalties create staking rewards. It was really interesting. The whole Pulse Hex ecosystem can be very confusing. So these are brief introduction. By brief, I mean we do a 2-hour stream, but it's probably about an hour of actually educating you on Hex, which is pretty good. It's like 50% of the time. But there's a lot to unpack. So we might need another week. Maybe we'll break it up and do another week at another time. But either way, it's a lot to digest. Somebody came in the chat the other night and even said it took him 6 months to understand Hex staking. So if you don't get everything overnight, then don't feel bad. Not many people would. Tonight we are investigating the events that created the starting point for the entire PulseChain ecosystem, the Ethereum state copy. This is what we are going to be really focusing on here tonight, and I'm really interested to figure it out because when PulseChain launched, just to make this simple, they copied Ethereum state up to like a certain block, or you could say up to a certain date or point in time. Why they chose a certain time, I don't know. Why they did this, I really don't know. So when they launched, it wasn't an empty blockchain. It had a bunch of stuff on it. What was the point of that? I have no idea. And that is why we are deep diving together and trying to figure that out as a community, as an underground crypto family. Blues Guy said, UG, let's have a chat tomorrow, brother. Yes, absolutely. Call me or text me anytime when you're available. I should be good most of the day tomorrow. At PulseChain's launch, people opened their wallets and discovered PulseChain's version of tokens, NFTs, smart contract positions, and active hex stakes they previously held on Ethereum. That event is often described as the largest airdrop in history. Okay, that makes sense because when they copied everything from Ethereum, they made a copy, and that copy now lived on both Hex and Ethereum. So you essentially got airdropped everything that you held on Ethereum onto PulseChain. That's very interesting. But the word copy can hide the most important question here. What exactly was copied? A blockchain can copy a number from a ledger. It can open a smart contract code in storage. It cannot automatically copy Circle's dollar makers collateral or Chainlink's Oracle operators. Certain things that just can't be copied, right? And an NFT marketplace support or liquidity that gave Ethereum assets its own price. Tonight we will separate three categories: asset native to PulseChain, assets created by Ethereum state copy, and assets brought through a bridge to PulseChain from Ethereum. By the end of the stream, you should be able to look at any asset on PulseChain and ask the question that determines what it actually represents. Here is a question for tonight's chat. If two tokens share the same symbol and name and contract address, but exist on different networks, are they the same asset? And the quote of the day is, "The map is not the territory." And this is Alfred Korbisky. A blockchain balance is a map of ownership inside a particular system. It does not automatically prove that an asset or outside asset, reserve, or institution recognizes that ownership. And what you may not know, let me switch you over so you can see what I see. This might make a little bit more sense if you could see what I'm doing, huh? There we go. So, what you may not know, PulseChain state copy was a snapshot, not a permanent connection. Ethereum transactions made after the snapshot are not continuously reproduced on PulseChain. Saying like it made a snapshot of the state, a copy of Ethereum at the time, but they didn't continually copy Ethereum. So anything after that snapshot doesn't exist on PulseChain as far as being a copy of Ethereum state. The official PulseChain documentation identifies Ethereum block, and it's this block, right? I'm not going to bother to try to say that number, but it's that specific block that they copied up to, as a pre-fork block included in the state PulseChain mainnet launch May 13, 2023. And a copy token can retain the same contract address it had on Ethereum because the entire contract state was reproduced. The network is therefore part of the asset's identity. If anybody's confused, just to reiterate here. What's up, Plague Dogs? Welcome in, welcome in. PulseChain, when it launched, copied Ethereum's state, or the memory or the ledger of Ethereum. They copied it from this block right here. Everything this block and back. everything this block and what was before it. I'm trying to make sure this is as clear as possible. They copied it so that when PulseChain launched, it was basically a copy of Ethereum, and it wasn't an empty blockchain. Active hex stakes were included because the stake record existed inside the copied hex contract storage. After launch, the Ethereum and PulseChain stake system began operating independently. So when they took the snapshot, hex already lived in Ethereum's ecosystem, right? From what I understand. And so when they made this copy and they made PulseChain, hex staking, right, already existed. But from the moment they launched PulseChain, they began to operate in two independent blockchains. Circle currently lists native USDC support on 35 blockchains. PulseChain is not included. PulseChain, Hex, these things are never included. For whatever reason, they are not in the club. Therefore, the stake copy USDC contract on PulseChain is not Circle issued native USDC, Circle's current USDC network list right here. So whatever USDC you see on PulseChain is not actually issued by Circle itself. Users did not need to enter their seed phrase or visit a claim website to receive their stake copies. The copied balances already existed at their corresponding PulseChain address, which is really interesting because it would be the world's largest airdrop. Very interesting stuff. And I look forward to getting into it even better, even deeper, right? That was just a quick intro to it. I probably already lost a few people. It happens. Plague Dog says, let's have a kiki? I don't know what a kiki is. Superb topic, definitely confusing without a good walkthrough. Hey, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to unconfuse this topic. And again, Monday we just tried to lay out all the cards on the table. Yesterday we kind of honed in and focused on staking, hex staking, and what that means, what are T-shares. And tonight we're focusing on PulseChain itself's launch, how they went about it, copying Ethereum's stake up to a certain block, which is like 17.2 million something, right? And then what happened after they launched. They didn't keep copying Ethereum's state every day all the time. And so at that point it moved independently. So what does that look like? It sounds like a very interesting experiment, if you will. But I'm willing to bet with somebody like Richard Hart that there was some thought put behind why they did what they did, right? All right, let's talk about these crypto bubbles right here. So Unibase having a nice bounce today. Let's go look at it on the week. Because even on the monthly, it's only up 44%. You can see we had this big fall from about 20 cents to as low as about 11.5 cents. And then now we bounced up to 14. So although you're up 22% today, that really is only positive, I guess, if you bought lower than this bottom here, rather at that bottom or somewhere near this bottom, 11, 12 cents, or if you bought way earlier. Otherwise, if you bought anything above that, you are underwater. Bitway making its way into the top 100. It is number 98 by market cap. It's up 20% today. Bitway's been doing well. We've seen a couple of things doing well in the Bitcoin DeFi or Bitcoin ecosystem, right? We've talked at great lengths about Bitcoin DeFi. I'm not going to go into my whole spiel about it. I'd love to see it do really well. It just doesn't normally do well, and it kind of starts to get a little bit of hype, and then it fizzles out. Now, at some point, it's going to get some hype and then actually probably get a lot more hype. But I would expect that to happen in more of a bull market, not the bottom of a bear market. So when it comes to anything that you're investing in Bitcoin DeFi, if it was me, I would tread lightly and take profits sooner than later. But you do what you want with your money. Never financial advice here at Underground Crypto. We're just trying to raise that crypto IQ so you can be the best speculator in the market that you can be and understand what the heck is going on. ETH Buy, Uni, Pi, Pax G, Lighter, Hash, all seeing a nice little bounce. This is gold, right? Yep. Tether gold. Let's drop down a lot of green across the board and decently. A lot of times you'll see a lot of this 0.4, 0.8, but we're actually seeing like 3%, 2.2%. Those are meaningful bounces in the overall market of crypto, and we'll get to that in a minute. We'll tell you the overall market cap and what it's moved today. So we're talking about Hex, we're talking about PulseChain, so naturally love to see that Pulse is up 8.4%. How I feel about Hex, Pulse, first of all, know that I hold a little bit of Hex from way back in the day, probably underwater on it, nothing amazing, but I didn't sacrifice for PulseChain because I really didn't know a whole lot about it. PulseChain and Hex remain relatively fringe. There are some people who know a lot about it, swear by it, love it. I have nothing against that. I'm still trying to kind of make heads or tails of it myself. I love anything new, anything innovative, anybody who's really about something and they're doing things their own way. I tend to really like that. But that doesn't mean all the time that I think it's going to be the best performer in the market. And for whatever reason, Hex, PulseChain have been kind of excluded from things like CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko. It's hard to get a market cap on a lot of these things or an accurate price. And so that just doesn't make me feel real good overall. It doesn't mean anything is bad about the protocol. In the world, you're kind of in the club or you're not in the club a lot of the time. And it feels like PulseChain, Hex, they run against the grain, which is my kind of vibe. But they kind of pay for it at the same time. So we're continuing to break it down. We might do a whole nother week series on it. We might have to do a whole kind of, not a whole week series, but a couple day series just on Richard Hart. The history of everything, legal cases, stuff like that I think could be highly interesting as well. Anyways. We're really hyping up this series, and I'm having a ton of fun doing it. ZBT, or Zero Base, bouncing 17%. We got some big movers here. The SISIC has been doing really well. We kind of went a little bit, an extra step, and deep dived it a little bit yesterday, right? Theta, Velvet, SPX, 6900, So-So. I think So-So is probably one of like the funniest names for a project. You're like, is it good? Is it bad? And you're like, it's So-So. Like, it's mid. Where I'm from, when you say something So-So, you mean it's like, it's mediocre. It's mid. Like, it's not really all that great, but it's not horrible either. It's So-So, which is a weird thing to name a project if you ask me. We got Lido and Axie Infinity, some Xpin network, getting a nice little bounce. So we're seeing a lot of green in the market kind of across these top coins by market cap. EHEX also up again. PulseChain, EHEX, all these things are very correlated. EHEX is Ethereum Hex. I'm starting to understand that now. These deep dives, they serve me well because I'm up here reading them to you guys. I pay heavy attention, obviously, and they really do serve me well. So I hope they're finding you well as well. It's a weird way to say it. Cash Cat up 30%. Cash Cat, what's the market cap now? Back up over 100 million. It was just at 60 million the other day. Now, the hard part is, of course, if you got in at like 60 million, you made gains, but you're not up 100% until you're at like 120 million. All right, because that's a double. But usually here in crypto, we want more than 100% gain because honestly, we get ahead of ourselves. We're very, I don't want to say that we're spoiled here in crypto, but we have been spoiled to see crazy gains like the people who got into Cash Cat when it was at a low market cap, right? Like if you got in at like $1 million or $2 million, you were up. It went to like 280 million market cap, or 250 at least. Look at this. Look at the 1 month. The 1 month Cash Cat up 73 million %. I'm not stuttering here. It's up 73 million %. That's a lot of percentages to be up, all right? Anyways, I forget what my point was. My point was, now that it's at 100 million market cap, you kind of needed to go to $1 billion to get a 10x, a little less than a 10x. And so I don't really know who's running into Cash Cat right now, but some people probably are. EHEX, Tibber, Sky AI is up 20%. We were looking at it. It was on our radar yesterday. Let's keep moving. I saw a 3% here. All right, it already changed, but we'll still pull it up. Dodo, which is a decentralized exchange on Solana, I believe. I know I've used it. It bounced. HEI. HEMA. HEMA's been around for over a year, so wondering why I've never heard of it. We'll have to look at that at some point. Tut. Of course, we're going to be a little bit more down into the fringe things. Tutorial is what Tut is. Just due to the simple fact you're down to 500 to 600 by market cap. Serve. Is this open serve? This is open serve. I know I wanted to scoop a bag of this. I can't remember if I ever bought a little bit, but now's probably a good time to do that. Tendies is a Robinhood meme coin. What is that at? 23 million. Tendies is one of those ones like Cash Cat and things that came out with the Robinhood ecosystem before Robinhood memes pretty much took a dive. And now we're seeing some resurgence, but it really did kind of take the wind out of the sails. Timing is everything when it comes to these things. So all it takes is something to really get things messed up, and it can take it a long time if it ever recovers. 2.28 trillion. We're almost turning to 2.3 trillion, up 0.7% today are the overall market cap of everything crypto. And don't sleep on that chat, guys. Let me know how you're doing today. Let me know how you're feeling about this series, how you liking Hex. Bitcoin, $64,632, up 1.2% in the last 7 days. Not really up a lot in the 24 hours, 0.6%, but that can be pretty considerable for Bitcoin, right? It's a big market cap. Market cap actually 1.2 trillion, almost 1.3 trillion in Bitcoin. It's a lot of money. Ethereum, 1,910. Ethereum still doing pretty well, ticking up and not giving a whole lot back. I remember we were at like 1,600 not too long ago here. BNB, $595. Looking to break that 600. I hope we can hold it. XRP, $1.06. Not seeing a whole lot. Notice it's red while everything else is green. Not seeing a lot of pump for XRP, but it's holding above $1. If we can manage to stay very close to $1 or above $1, bottom of the bear market for XRP, I'll be pretty happy because that's still a 5x from the 25, little less than 5x, 25-cent low that we had in the previous market. Melissa says, I can only tell you that cookies and cream ice cream I'm eating is good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. That is my favorite type of ice cream. How did you know? Solana, $74. Not up a whole lot, but it's not red. At this point in the market, bear market vibes, when we get these little pumps, it's just nice to see things green, even if they're not up a lot. But we should be paying attention to what is getting a bigger bounce than everything else, which turns our attention to Hyperliquid. It's at $56.90. Let's call it $57. And it is up 3% today, and it's also up almost 6% in the last 7 days. Hyperliquid did have a nice little pullback. Let's call it a pullback. It sounds nicer than like a local crash, right? Pullback, same thing. But it could be a good time to maybe scoop some of it. You gotta kind of get over the psychological, it's $56 a share or $60 a share almost, and for $200-300 you're only going to get a few shares of it, right? Or a few units or a few coins, whatever you want to think of it as. Doesn't make a whole lot of difference to the tokenomics and the numbers, what you want to call it. But it can really psych a lot of people out, where like Dogecoin, for example, is only 7 cents. You're going to see a lot more Dogecoin in your wallet versus how many Hyperliquid for the same amount of money, and that could really psychologically mess with a lot of people. It's exactly why meme coins have like a trillion, max circulating supply, and they're usually fully vested on day one a lot of the time, literally because it makes people feel like they're getting a lot. And then they'll start doing moon math. They'll be like, well, if this thing goes to $1, I have 100 million of them, right? And then they don't understand the concept of tokenomics at all. We're trying to fix that. We're trying to raise that crypto IQ. If somebody in the trenches could let me know if the coin that we're in is moving. Oh, it is not moving. Or is it moving? I can never tell. Hey, Melissa, if that thing takes off to go to bond, if you could let me know, I would really appreciate that. All right, that way I can focus. Zcash, $509, up almost 10%. So Hyperliquid, Zcash, so far having some nice moves. Cardano is up to 19 cents. But in the last 7 days, it's moved 18%, almost 20% at some other times. For whatever reason, Cardano getting a nice little pump. Monero XMR, $365. Chainlink, $8.17. We're going to speed this up. XLM, 16.5 cents, down 4% in the last 7 days. Kind of surprising with so much news narrative going on and things with XLM. There's a lot of real bullish stuff going on with XLM network. Not really seeing a corresponding pump. Kind of typical though. Whatever you think would happen, like you would think if a project is getting a lot of real adoption, that it would get a lot of buying in the actual coin, and a lot of times it's not what happens, and then it'll all rush in at some other time, right? Bitcoin Cash, $213. Canton Network, another one I'm highly considering scooping a little bit of a bag of, just because I think it's going to do well. It's at $4 billion in market cap, but it's one of those projects that I could see doubling, if not tripling. It's one of the safe plays. So when you look at your portfolio, I'm not going to get into it because we've talked about portfolios at great lengths, but portfolios are important to understand, and percentages and how you balance a portfolio. It seems like Canton Network could be a good top 30 by market cap play with low risk, with a 2 to 3x return, I think, pretty reasonably in a bull market. I mean, anyways, enough of that. I know I get a little long-winded sometimes. Toncoin, or now we're calling it Gram, $1.40. And Hedera at about 7 cents. For whatever reason, it's always about the same price as Dogecoin. Avalanche, $6.66. I don't know what that's about. Is that the doom number of Avalanche? Because Avalanche really hasn't been performing very well. Sui at 69 cents. For me, anything under $1 for Sui is good. And Memecore's at $1.23, and it's actually up almost 7% in the last 7 days. I wouldn't be surprised if Memecore comes back swinging at some point. Somebody seemed to have like a large stake in it, and I'm thinking that they just sold out at one point, and they didn't bother to like scale out, so they didn't hurt the market. They just sold off on everybody, and hey, that's, I guess, their choice. Let's take a look at what's trending, and then we will get back into the topic of the night. Melissa says it's not moving. Okay, I will. Yeah, I appreciate you. For whatever reason you get distracted and you miss it, I'm not going to hold it against you, but it is certainly very helpful. Pudgy Penguins, Bless. We've talked about Bless. Bless kind of reminded me of Sysic a little bit. Bless obviously came much earlier on. Let's take a look at it real quick. I'm going to tell you what it is before we focus on anything like tokenomics or whatever. It's DePIN, which is decentralized infrastructure, right? Bless is all about, let's get to the website. It's all about resources for, you could say AI, you could say everything that comes with AI. I'm going to start saying it that way because you have oracles, agentic networks, AI agents. Like, there's so many things. We're just going to say everything that comes with AI. And it says the world's first shared computer. It's one way to look at it. It's not the first. You have projects like Grass and things like that before that. So it's actually not the first. But the whole idea is we need resources, and they're collectively putting them all together so that they don't have to actually build a warehouse and actually buy the stuff. There's a lot of different ways you could take this, and a lot of ways you could look at it. On one side, it seems like a great idea. On another side, you're like, well, yeah, but these people get to make a ton of money. They get to make a ton of money off of the stuff you have in your computers, which individually is not really all that useful, but collectively is very useful. If they get to make a lot of money, and we've already seen things like Grass and stuff really not pay out very much. And so we bless, that's why it's Bless, right? Because we bless them with the ability to make a ton of money. And then who knows what they give us. And I don't want to say anything about Bless because I don't know what their payout structure is. But I'll tell you, the track record for most of these projects so far has not been real great. And I'm sure they're making money, all right? They just don't put it into their actual coin. They put it into the treasury of, they put it in their bank account. Treasury sounds really nice, but the truth is they put it in their bank account for their business, not into the market cap of their coin. It would be cool if they would do at least some kind of buybacks because they're obviously making some kind of money. Either way, it's up 218%. And let's see, do we have... No, we don't have Sisic on here. Maybe Sisic will come up on our radar over on CoinGecko. Anyways, we're doing a lot of things. The compounding knowledge of this show every day covers quite a bit. And that's why coming to the show every day is, to me, important if you really want to grasp a lot of this and become a better speculator potentially and have a higher crypto IQ, crypto education, because it can be a lot. But we're kind of watching Sisic, we're watching Bless, and these few ones run together. So I hope you understand your categories and your niches. Haima is a rebrand of whatever this is. It has a ticker LIT, which is interesting because LIT is the same ticker as Lighter. So maybe that's why they're rebranding, is because Lighter is probably far more well-known, even though they've probably been around longer. John316 said, hey, is it okay to invest in BTC? I find alts toxic and stressed. John316, you're going to set me on a tangent, but you've shown up many times to this show and are a great supporter, so I also don't want to not take the time to answer your question. Here's what I'll say. I try to get rid of some of the disclaimer, but everybody's a little bit different what your risk tolerance is. If you're saying that you feel like alts are toxic and stressful, Bitcoin probably is the coin for you. And it's all about what you're trying to do in portfolios. This is why I almost feel like we need to do another series on portfolios, to be honest with you, because I don't know if everybody was here or if everybody really understood the whole portfolio thing. If you are worth, let's not even say what you're worth. Let's say you are taking what is a lot of money to you, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, $1 million. And you really don't have a lot of risk tolerance. You can't afford to lose much. Bitcoin is a great vehicle. Even Ethereum is a little bit more risk, but a great vehicle for your money, in my opinion. Not financial advice. But you're probably not going to turn $100,000 at this point with BTC. In history, it's different. But with BTC, you're probably not going to turn $100,000 into $100 million anytime soon. Or even $100,000 into $2 or $3 million. You'd be very lucky to turn $100,000 into $1 million in BTC in one cycle, one 4-year cycle. If you hold it for 50 years, that's totally different. I'm just talking about one bottom of a bear market to the next, to the top of a bull market. That's what I'm talking about. Melissa says, I would like that a portfolio stream. Yeah, we really should do it again. Honestly, at this point, I could do a dang portfolio stream off the top of my head. But I do like to have it organized for you guys because I might just be all over the place. We would have to see. But anyways, my point is, for you, John316, BTC might be great. Here's what I would want. This is historical, okay? Hindsight is 2020. I want to lay this out clear because somebody's asking me a question. So if I take a minute to get it right, bear with me. So historically, I think it's 1,038 days from one bottom of a market to the next bottom of a market. It's been historically that way, 4-year cycle for a long time. I know the 4-year cycle is under a lot of scrutiny, but if you break it down and you just zoom in on Bitcoin, the 4-year cycle is actually unbroken. Altcoins, that's a little bit different, right? But if you're just focusing on BTC, October 5th would be 1,038 days and should be the bottom of the market. Now, will October 5th be the lowest number for BTC, period? I don't know. And a lot of times history rhymes, but it's not perfect. So let's just say somewhere in that neighborhood of October 5th, and even in December maybe, right? Before the beginning of the year, right? Before 2027. Probably going to have the bottom of the market. If you don't have a high risk appetite, you might want to buy some BTC if you want to be in the crypto game. But that puts BTC, somewhere around probably $60,000 if we kind of trend to where we are and have a higher low or a lower low, right? $55,000. I really, at this point, I don't know if we're going to really see under $50,000 for BTC. It never seems to give people what they want, so that would be pretty on brand for Bitcoin. My point being, if you like low risk, just to recap, buy BTC as close to the bottom of the bear market as you can and ride it to the top of the bull market. That would be what I would be trying to do if you don't like altcoins. Also, I will say this though, John316, altcoins might not be so toxic and stressful if you take some time to educate yourself. Again, not trying to insult you. I have no idea what you know about altcoins, how long you've been in the game, not trying to insult you. But every day we're here trying to learn and raise our crypto IQ. And I know you be popping in sometimes. So I would love to help you. Free Discord. Let's see. Is it getting better? We got disconnected for a second. Couldn't tell you why. It says reconnected. Let's go. Let me see if this thing evens out. Of course, I have no idea when it happened. We were just starting to get a little bit of traction here, so that sucks. I got served an ad. I really thought that the whole thing just crashed. All right, guys. I'm just giving it a second to catch back up. We should be good. So far, so good. All right, cool. So, Blues Guy says, I have learned so much with all your deep dives and your dedication to your channel. Thank you, G. Means a lot to a guy. Means a lot to have a guy like you bringing us this knowledge. Hey, I love doing it, and I'm glad that you guys enjoy it. John316, if you're still here, drop me a comment or something so I know. I don't know. Tell me how you felt about what I said. Was it helpful, or did I miss something? Because we're a small community. I want to nail things for people if I can. I don't know when it started breaking up, so I just want to reiterate. There is a link to the Discord down in the chat. I'm pretty sure you're already in it, John316. Feel free to message me personally if you want to chit-chat. Stregaheart says I'm here. Thank you, Stregaheart. And, of course, with the freezing up, it's telling me we dropped to 6 people. Don't focus on it. That's what I got to tell myself. Anyways, HEMA is a rebrand. Let's get back on track. Blues Guy with the $5 Canadian says blessings and gratitude. Thank you, G. You're amazing. I appreciate you saying that. That is 1 super chat to our goal of 5 super chats that we have every day. Bottom of the bear market vibes, though. I try not to say it too often, right? I am not trying to squeeze money out of you guys, but I do appreciate it when you can send in a super chat. GRVT, I want to call it Gravity Token. I don't know if that's what it stands for. It is DeFi, decentralized finance, derivatives, and perpetuals. It is grvt.io. Everyday dollar, or every dollar, reading what I want. Yes, restricted IP doesn't like my VPN. Every dollar does more here. I found this project pretty interesting, I'll be honest. I don't know that I call it revolutionary right off the bat, but definitely coming at things at a little bit of a different angle without getting off into the weeds too much, right? 8% APY, not incredibly high, a believable APY. I like to say that because a lot of times when you look at an APY and it's like 35%, it's like, yeah, I don't believe that. Anything over 20% APY makes it hard for me to understand how they're going to consistently give it. Could they for some time give you 20%? Sure. But consistently, year after year, they must have a money market that we don't know about. Security and trust built into every swipe, tap, and send. Seems like a really cool product. Again, I don't know if it's for Americans. Not everybody here is in America, but for me, it automatically didn't like my VPN in America, so I'm gonna assume that it doesn't like American citizens. Double O Zo says, "Yo, what's up, Double O Zo? I like that I saw you interacting in the Discord. I love to see people interacting in the Discord. So shout out to Double O Zo for always having the time to take a second and say something in the Discord. And if you're not in the Discord, I highly encourage you to join that free Discord. All right, we got Lighter Ethereum, Tether Gold, Shiba Inu, Pax Gold, Ondo, Axie Infinity, and Solana. Notice I only really click on things I feel like we need to go over. Cashcat, again, if you don't know, is the premier Robinhood ecosystem meme coin. It is a meme coin. Let's hop over and check out that Fear and Greed Index, refresh it, make sure we have the latest numbers. I just watched it change from 27 to 25. I'm not really sure Does the Fear and Greed Index update every 24 hours? Does it kind of upgrade every 2 hours? I don't really know. I don't really know how that works. I just look at it every day about the same time, and I keep that number in the back of my head. And that kind of compounds day after day, and I can kind of keep a pulse on where the market is. But if that's difficult, there is a bar graph down here. You go 6 months, 1 month, 7 day, all time, whatever, and you can look, right? Look at this all time. We've had some good times, right? We would like those good times to come back again. Have they destroyed the altcoin season market, all of these things? I don't think so forever. I do feel like there was a lot of institutional positioning, though. I really do. And I think that they really hurt our market. That's one way to think about it. That could be true. It could be both, or it could be separate, and it could be that we've never seen a bull market for Bitcoin or crypto assets in quantitative tightening. Who needs me to explain quantitative tightening and quantitative easing? They are economic models that is put out by the Fed, and every single bull market you've ever seen, if you've been in crypto a long time, or you just look back at a chart, all of that was in quantitative easing, which means cheap money, free money, low interest on loans, easy to get money, easy access to money. It's what the smart money calls cheap money, because the money is cheap. You don't have to pay a lot of interest on it. In quantitative tightening, it's very much the opposite. It's expensive money, per se. It's a lot of interest on money. Look at your mortgages. Look at everything when it comes to lending and stuff. They want a lot of money back because the risk is much higher in those type of markets. Anyways, I'll get off of that because maybe you need that, maybe you don't need that. We got Bitcoin Cash, ZigChain. ZigChain, very interesting. Been around for like 5 years. ZigChain is a layer 1 blockchain focused on unlocking financial opportunities for everyone, which is very broad. It's 57 million, been as high as 252 million, which is not really a crazy high all-time market cap. The fact that they've retained 50 million is pretty impressive for a coin that I don't really see on the radar very often, ChainGPT. Because we took a minute to look at the other coin that we looked at, Bless, let's take a look at ChainGPT for a minute. It's a full-stack computational network that turns GPU, ASIC, and compute into liquid and yield-bearing asset. The question is, how much? And it'd be a really interesting deep dive to do, because I tell you guys, I have a problem. I'm highly interested in way too many niche things that most people probably would not think is interesting. But if you have a GPU, and of course they come in all kinds of different things, right? But say you kind of generalize the GPUs and ASICs into like a certain range that's common. How much should it really be worth? How much should you really be getting paid? And I guess the better question is, how much could a company like ChainGPT or Bless or Grass, how much are they charging per GPU power of a certain estimated amount, right? That's common inside people's computers. Are they getting super rich off of us and not giving us much? Or is the price per what you're contributing not very high? Basically, let's put it this way. Say you contribute your GPU power for a month, and in that month, just specifically your computer, or say specifically what you're contributing, ChainGPT is selling that which is specifically pertains to you for say $50. All right, over the course of a month, and they give you what? 10%, 5%, 1%, less than 1%. They give you $1. They give you what? What do they give you? Are you being ripped off, or are you not? Here's what I'd love to see happen. And I know somebody's probably like, why are we talking about this? I'd love to see an open market where I can go and I can put my GPU and I can sell direct access to my GPU, RAM, memory, whatever, bandwidth, if you know what Grass is about, on the open market, and I could get the full value. Somebody builds that with like a small tax. So say it was $50 a month that I'm contributing, that it's worth, that they will pay. Say I pay somebody $5 or $10 out of that 50 for the ability to use their platform to sell and make my money, versus a company like Bless or Sisek, who's probably giving you like $1 for every $50 they make or something like that. Anyways, I would really like to know what the numbers are. I'm not going to harp on it anymore. Yellow Card is on a funding route, and Yellow Card is Pan-African fiat to crypto gateway. It's an on and off ramp, right? Or at least an on ramp for stablecoin payment infrastructure providers. They've raised $129.5 million, which tells me what? Somebody believes that they're going to do something, and more than that, what does it really tell me when you see a bunch of funders and backers? It tells me that somebody believes they're going to make money, because none of these people who invest really are going to do that great unless they make money, unless they're just going to dump as soon as the coin comes out at a higher valuation than what they bought it for, which is what a lot of them do. So I'd love to see who stays in a project, 30 days after the token generation event. That would be some good metrics. I wonder if Blockworks has stuff like that. That would be really interesting. Anyways, PulseChain Capital, Andreessen Horowitz, Coinbase Ventures Galaxy, and this blockchain. Will they tell me what it is? PulseChain Capital. Yeah. Those are all tier 1 investors, and they believe this thing is going to do something. Now, how do you get in on it? I don't know. I don't know if you can get in on it. It's an exchange aggregator, right? It's moving some. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Luckily, I have it on my phone. And you say it's cool. So, all right, we bought a little under 10K. I am up 32 cents, 8%. Let's go. Thank you. If you could continue to let me know. If it rips up above like 15, 20. If we get above like 20 G's, definitely let me know. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, we have a trenches for kind of the elite members, and we're on pump.fun tracking stuff down. We're learning from a pro who's in our community, and we're having a great time doing it. If you would like to know a little bit more about those kind of things, let me know, because I am going to be doing some of that in the members only live stream, and there will be a members only live stream today. I know it's been a little all over the place. I'm giving myself a little bit of leeway with the members only live stream, even if I probably shouldn't, because I have a lot on my plate right now. But man, I really want to do those members only live stream. There will be one today. I will guarantee. I don't know how long it'll be, but there will be one today for my members. $4, $2.99, $3 for a membership. Come on. I definitely am not gouging anybody for a membership. So we got Mars Coin. Mars Coin's interesting. Only been around for like a couple of days, really. It's a meme coin on BNB. We took a look at it. Meme coins can make you money. How long you want to hold them, I don't know. This thing's already at 57 million market cap. Again, you get in now, especially when you deal with stuff like pump.fun, which I'm getting a lot more used to doing. You're getting into things like the one we're watching right now, bought at $10,000 market cap, right? Now, I'm going to sell it when it bonds, and I'm not going to get into that, but I'm not looking to necessarily hold all of that until it's at millions, because most of them never do that, right? But getting in at 57 million on any coin for me just feels like there's not a lot of opportunity. What am I going to double my money? I know it sounds terrible if you come from traditional finance. Doubling your money is great in traditional finance, especially if you did it in a year. But it's also high risk, and you don't put a ton of money in a meme coin. Generally, that's not how that works. Anyways, it's high risk, high reward. And you do what you want, but it's a 57 million market cap. I'm not particularly interested in a coin like that. InvestFi. So, white label crypto investing infrastructure for banks and credit unions. Institutions, once again, 20 million. Now, one thing I've been harping a lot, like, oh, look at all these new projects. They're all based towards institutions. And it's true. Not taking anything away from that. But also, CryptoRank as a platform, I realize more and more, is very geared towards that kind of thing. So a lot of that stuff is going to show up on your radar over here. I don't think that it's really all that skewed, if you get what I'm trying to say, but it's definitely that kind of platform. So we do get a lot of that analytic. Newton Labs, previously Magic Lab, so we got a rebrand. I don't understand why a lot of times rebrands come up as funding rounds and stuff like that, because they've already launched, right? But maybe this coin doesn't have a token generation event. Let's look at our funders and backers. Your only tier 1 is an angel investor. An angel investor is like an individual person, right? 83 million raised. And let's figure out what it is. Newton Labs is an enterprise wallet infrastructure and API for embedding non-custodial wallets into applications. Sounds like something a developer would be very into when they're integrating stuff into what they're creating. Now let's see what else we got. Blockspace. Now again, Blockspace is a very specific thing in blockchain technology. So if you understand what Blockspace is, we've done series on them and stuff. Hopefully you got that crypto IQ raised. If not, go look for those streams. They were good streams. Anyways, it's a for-profit Ethereum infrastructure company optimizing the out-of-protocol transaction pipeline. If you don't understand what that means, probably need to raise your crypto IQ. If you don't understand what Blockspace is, you probably don't understand how blockchain technology works, which could be problematic if you're taking money that matters to you. Now, if you just got a bunch of fun money that you just have laying around, like nobody who I know has any fun money necessarily laying around. But if you're one of those people with fun money and you throw it in things and you don't really care if you lose it, then I guess you don't really need to know what's going on. But if you're like most people and money matters, right? You're not putting $10 into crypto. You're putting maybe 1,000 or a couple thousand. You should probably know what the heck you're talking about. But hey, I'm just a guy on YouTube. Fortune Protocol. Now, with a name like Fortune Protocol, AI-driven DeFi protocol providing liquidity infrastructure for prediction markets. I think it's interesting because this name Fortune, or this branding, the Fortune cookie, this would be a great prediction market platform branding. And it's not, it's just about liquidity infrastructure for prediction markets. But man, that would have been such a good name for a prediction market instead of Kalshi. Why Kalshi when you could be like Fortune Cookie? Come on. Really missed opportunity there. Anyways, Bless, we talked about Bless. We put Bless, Grass, and Sysic and a few others kind of in the same category. I see they're getting a little bit of attention. Why? AI speculation. That would be my bet there. Let's see. Snaps is up 45% today. Shout out to Melissa, who I know owns a little bit of Snaps. I'm going to check on that coin. Looks like we're... The one thing I like about this coin that we've been in is that it pumps and it's not really giving it back. It pumped, it went sideways, it pumped again. It's a good vibe. All right, Snaps is a cross-chain liquidity layer on Ethereum virtual machine. And you can see it is in a giant falling wedge. Can't speak. It's in a giant falling wedge. It looks like it's probably... So here's what happens a lot of times, I notice. Kind of have two different things. You have the falling wedge that's going to do something like a breakout. Make that look a lot better. Of some sort, like this. Measured move is here. And then you'll have this and you'll be waiting, you'll see the breakout, and it could very easily do this quickly. But see, that would require this price action to be like, or, you know, flag out and move. Something like this. Not a rounded bottom, where a lot of times I'll be waiting for that wedge that just broke out to start moving with that measured move, and it'll kind of do this. Cup, handle, then run. And it'll take a lot longer, basically. The point is it'll take a lot longer to get that move than you think it will, and you'll probably lose faith and sell it. Probably not at a loss because you're already at the bottom, but you'll probably lose faith and sell that thing before you really let it run the distance because you're too focused on this wedge, which does play out plenty of the time, but sometimes it just turns into a rounded bottom, gives you a cup and a handle, or worse, it gives you, a cup and then another cup, double bottom, a W pattern, or another cup, inverted head and shoulder. So you kind of got to keep progressing and watching what's going on over time. Anyways, I don't know why I felt like telling you that. I just did. Let's take a look at Snaps a little bit more. So we know it's secure cross-chain communication. Snaps is the most widely used extensible secure cross-chain communication network, built truly cross-chain application using Snap protocol. So it's interoperability at its finest with security, a heavy focus on security. Powering the most popular bridge, deep liquidity. So they've been around for a while. They've been doing it. Seems like they're pretty good. Hypercall is live, starting with SpaceX, they say. So here we got some tokenization of stocks going on. Snaps, I think, is a leader in the space, even if you've never heard of it. That's kind of how it goes sometimes. Some of the background infrastructure stuff starts to have its own project branding and name rise to the top, and most people don't really know what it is because it's been in the background most of the time. Bundle. Let's talk about Bundle real quick. Oh no, weird pop-ups that I'm getting from YouTube. All right, Web3 network, or networked, reward platform using stablecoin infrastructure for global payouts. We did talk about this yesterday. No tier 1s in here, just tier 2 investors. I don't usually bother to name those. And they've only raised 5.5 million, which doesn't sound amazing. And United Arab Emirates, they must not be raising money in the United Arab, because I'm pretty sure all those people have trillions of dollars, at least the people on top. And they've only managed to raise 5.5 million. So you could get a lot done for 5.5 million, don't get me wrong. But I don't really know how much people really believe that thing is going to go and make a bunch of money. Think about this. You're an investor, angel investor, venture capitalist, doesn't matter. You're not investing in things that you don't think are going to make money. XYO with a 1% bounce. If you know, you know. All right. Orion agent. Let's read it right. They're in a token sale. They've raised $300,000. Orion Agent is a reputation-verified marketplace for autonomous DeFi agents. This is the whole concept that if we're going to have AI agents, especially if they do specific things and they sell what they do as a service, a trading bot, whatever, they need to have a reputation involved with them so that we can know if they're good at doing what they say that they're doing. Like if you have a trading bot and all it does is lose money, it'd be cool if it had a reputation that said, hey, this thing's got a poor reputation, don't put your money in it. So, and there's the reputation side of the AI agent, but there's also the having a corresponding to who runs the AI agent, some kind of digital ID, right? So that if it, I don't know, rugs and takes all your money, we know to hold somebody accountable. It's really a very gray space in crypto right now, right? So if an AI agent is running, is it running 100% on its own merits, like its own code, contract, code is law? Or is there somebody who has access and is manipulating it, and when it gets to a certain point, they could just suck all the liquidity out of it? These are all things that your average retail person is not going to be able to understand ahead of time most of the time. So reputation can be a good way to know that. Let's go into the education of the night. I will keep you guys waiting no longer. Let's talk about Hex. And specifically tonight, we're going to be talking about PulseChain when it launched and its copying of the Ethereum ecosystem up to a certain block, or you can say it forked from that point. What was the point of it? Why did it? I'm super interested to get into it. I didn't have time to really do a bunch of research on this ahead of time. Like I've said, this is a really good example of the power of this channel for me and for the community. I'm really learning a ton about this specifically, and I didn't have a huge wealth of knowledge about PulseChain and stuff prior to doing these with you. So I'm learning with you guys. So most wallets simplify cryptocurrency by displaying a name, a ticker, a token balance, and an estimated dollar value. That design is something you're probably familiar with. It's also very convenient in what you see in almost all your wallets, whether it's Soulflare, Jupiter, Phantom, whatever. But it can hide the network and the origin of the asset. A wallet might display the word USDC, which is an acronym, not a word, but whatever. A copied token might use the same logo, meaning there might be USDC in other places. Tickers and contract addresses that USDC uses on Ethereum. The wallet may even attempt to attach a dollar price to it as if it is pegged to the dollar the same way legitimately issued USDC is. Well, there's a lot of conversation we could get into here, and I'm not going to go into it. But where we're going with this is there is USDC that is directly issued by Circle Group. They're the ones who own USDC, right? It's their product on Ethereum. They issue it on Ethereum. But when PulseChain copied Ethereum, now USDC lived on PulseChain. But that PulseChain USDC has no affiliation at all with Circle. I hope you can see the problem. The problem is Circle Group issues USDC on Ethereum, guarantees it to be pegged to $1. Has no affiliation with PulseChain USDC, which means, is the USDC on PulseChain actually backed by anything, or are we just all kind of agreeing that it's worth $1? This is going to be interesting to get into, and I don't really know what the answer is. So a new user can understandably assume that one copied USDC equals one Circle-backed dollar. But they're not the same, because I highly doubt anybody approached Circle and said, hey, we're going to fork Ethereum into this new chain called PulseChain. Will you guarantee USDC remittance? Or if somebody wants to exchange it for something, that it will be worth $1 on our blockchain, because it is specific to every blockchain. And that assumption can be dangerously wrong. The shift here is to stop identifying an asset by its ticker alone. Now, this is some deep IQ raising sauce here that is probably not relevant most of the time. If you're on a major blockchain, Solana, Ethereum, major blockchains, things that would be considered major, USDC on there is probably issued and directly backed by Circle. But if you're into some fringe stuff, which, PulseChain is, then you have to start thinking a little bit more in depth like this. A complete asset identity includes the network, the contract address, how it was created, who or what backs it, how it can be redeemed, and where it has usable liquidity. Once we add those questions, copied assets become easier to distinguish from native and bridged assets. Honestly, if you have a question on a fringe network, ChatGPT is probably the quickest and easiest way to get a complete answer. It's not perfect, and I'm not trying to act like it's perfect, but I will say that it could probably get scouring the internet and give you an answer, because basically it's going to go to, like, if you're using USDC as an example, it can go to the website for USDC and tell you what blockchains it's actually guaranteed and backed. All right, so the payoff is practical safety. A viewer can determine whether an asset is native to PulseChain, came from Ethereum state copy, represents something locked inside a bridge, has issuer-supported redemption, has only speculative market value, depends on an outside protocol that may not support PulseChain at all. Instead of trusting a token logo, a viewer learns to investigate the actual claim represented by the token. And again, it's definitely some high crypto IQ stuff that we're talking about here. So if this is going a little bit over your head, just let us know in the chat and we will do our best to bring you up to speed for wherever you are at. And I don't really understand what the point of copying Ethereum state copy. I'm hoping to have the same eureka moment that a lot of people with PulseChain have had, where I really understand the power of why they did this. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I'm hoping that happens. All right. 3 different meanings of the word fork. So first of all, who's with me? Drop a 1-1 in the chat. 111 in the chat if you're with me, if you like this topic, if you're just listening to the sound of my voice, honestly, is all I'm asking. So when they made PulseChain, technically it's a fork of Ethereum. In Ethereum state, don't let the word state confuse you. It's not like a country in a state. It means the memory of the entire blockchain, the ledger, all the transactions, everything that is stored on the blockchain is considered state. Melissa says, yep, 111. All right, I got one person here. So there's 3 different meanings of the word fork, actually, right? And people use the word fork too casually. Again, this is high crypto IQ raisin stuff here. There are 3 separate ideas. The first one is a code fork. Developers copy an existing blockchain software and then they modify it. A code fork can begin with an empty ledger and no copied user balances, right? So what we're talking about for PulseChain is not necessarily a code fork, although that might be a part of it. A state fork, developers reproduce the current account balances, contract code, contract storage, and ownership records from another blockchain at a specific moment. PulseChain included an Ethereum state copy. So this is what they did. I'm trying to figure out why they did it, right? What was so important about doing this? Because off the top of my head, it really feels like this made PulseChain complicated. And this state copy from Ethereum kind of feels like why PulseChain is so complicated to understand, and I really am hoping to get to that eureka moment where I understand why they did this. And then you have a social fork. Developers, businesses, stablecoin issuers, exchanges, application teams, and users choose to support the new network. This part cannot be copied through software, kind of has to be an unspoken agreement within communities, ecosystems. PulseChain inherited Ethereum's compatible code in Ethereum state. Now, this was one thing I was really thinking. Did they do this state copy for Ethereum just for Ethereum virtual machine compatibility? Which would make a lot of sense. It did not automatically inherit every institution and developer supporting Ethereum. Again, going back to the idea of USDC, just because they copied USDC onto the PulseChain ecosystem doesn't mean that Circle Group at all endorses the USDC over there on that new blockchain. Double Ozo says, still here watching from the big screen. Strug a heart with a 111. I appreciate you guys giving me some feedback. And I love that I'm on your big screen. I hope that my camera is good quality. Because in my screen, I'm really tiny, so I never know if it's good quality or not. Guys, don't forget to kick the button of crypto knowledge and the like button as well. I know that's what you're referring to. The snapshot was one moment in time. Okay, so the snapshot is a snapshot, not a continued data feed of everything going on. And it gives you the exact block. I'm just going to call it 17.2 million, but it's a very specific block. Is there a reason? Is that just the block that it was on when they did this in 2023? Most likely. So the official PulseChain documentation identifies Ethereum block 17.2 million as its final pre-fork Ethereum state. Think of that as taking a detailed photograph of Ethereum at one moment. Who owns what, where they owned it, all of that stuff. That photograph included accounts and contract information existing at that block. Once PulseChain began operating, the two systems developed separately. So here's one thing that I'm thinking of. If, say, you're at this block, right, and say I had, I don't know, $10,000 in a coin, and on Ethereum, I sold it because I was up 100%, right? Say I turned $5,000 into $10,000, and in this block, whatever asset I was holding, the next block or a block after it, could be 10 after it, 1 after it, doesn't matter. I sold it for $10,000. Well, let's say that project just kept going up. It did another 10x after that. So now, like, you know, my $5,000 that I turned into $10,000 is really worth $55,000. On PulseChain, they made a copy of it, right? And it was assigned to my wallet. Do I have $55,000 waiting for me? You get my point? Like, because on Ethereum, I sold it, but what happened after this block did not transfer. It didn't continue to update. So technically on PulseChain, I still own that asset. And if it's an exact representation of whatever asset that was, say it was a meme coin or something on Ethereum, and it went up another 10x. Well, can I go over to PulseChain and just grab my PulseChain wallet where the assets would live and then sell it for 55,000. Is that a thing? Because it's technically the biggest airdrop that ever happened because a whole entire Ethereum state was copied. That would be pretty crazy, and I really hope somebody out there benefited from that. I wonder how many people could have benefited from that and never even knew that was a thing. Pretty crazy, eh? This whole crypto blockchain technology thing can get pretty wild sometimes. Could have extreme amounts of money sitting somewhere. Any of us could, and you might not even know it. Now my gears are turning. I'm like, wait a second. What block was this and when was this? 2023, you say? Okay, so think of that as a detailed photograph of Ethereum at one moment. So the photograph includes account, contract information existing at that block. Once the Pulse chain began operating, the two systems developed separately. If somebody transferred an Ethereum token after the snapshot, the Ethereum balance changed. The original PulseChain copy did not change. Exactly what I was just saying. Again, I did not pre-read this. No second copy was created, and the transaction was not mirrored. This was a one-time state reproduction, not an ongoing synchronization system. What was actually copied, though? And let's check out this chat. Okay, we're up to date on the chat. If you're just rolling in here, smash that like button. The easiest, cheapest thing you could do, free actually, to support this channel and all the hard work that I put into it. So what was actually copied? The copied state included information such as account state. And let's change the word state to memory, because I feel like a lot of people would digest that. Anywhere that you see state in crypto, just think memory. So account memory, the memory of all the accounting or accounts on Ethereum at the time of the snapshot. Ethereum addresses and its numeric native balance were reproduced. The native units became PLS on PulseChain, PLS being the gas or native token that powers the PulseChain ecosystem. They did not carry Ethereum's dollar value over. So ERC20 contract state or memory. Token contracts, balances, allowances, and recorded supply information were included. These copied tokens are often called PRC20s within PulseChain's community. Man, as I think about this, I gotta slow down for a minute. Like I said, I'm learning with you guys tonight. This is crazy. This is what I'm like. Where does this end? So if I had $1 million in Ethereum, and then PulseChain copied the Ethereum state and gave me a copy, did I just get an airdrop of 1 million PulseChain EHEX? Or say you had $1 million in HEX. You have EHEX, but then you have, I believe, XHEX, which is a PulseChain HEX, right? The copy. Does that mean I have $2 million now? This is really interesting. A part of me is like, that's too good to be true, right? So I just doubled my money. If I hold most of my stuff in Ethereum, or, you know, it says Ethereum state, but does that include Ethereum contracts or layer 2s, right? This is really interesting. Anybody have any idea? Melissa, is that how that works? That just seems way too good to be true. Super bullish, but also you have to ask yourself, where does that money come from? If PulseChain says, hey, you have $1 million worth of Ethereum, any amount of money, doesn't matter what it was, say to you $1,000 or 100,000 might as well be $1 million. It's a lot of money to you. Can I go cash that out over on PulseChain and bridge it somewhere else and then have double my money? I'm like, I need to know that. Contract token balances, allowances. This is the ERC20 contract state. I really went somewhere thinking about how much value could have been copied and generated, and then how do you actually back up any of that value? It seems totally unethical. These copied tokens are often called PRC20s within the PulseChain community. J-Dub AO came in the right time. J-Dub, tell me something. So we're learning tonight about PulseChain, right? And J-Dub, I take it as you're somebody who knows quite a bit about this. or spent a lot of time with PulseChain ecosystem. So we're learning about how Ethereum copied, I don't know when you came in, copied the Ethereum state when it launched PulseChain, how it wasn't an empty blockchain when it launched. And it's the biggest airdrop to ever happen because they copied the entire. So if I had $10,000 in Ethereum, let's just use Ethereum or even Hex, and then they made a copy of the state and then PulseChain happened, did I just gain $10,000? Like, can I take that $10,000 on PulseChain in a PulseChain version of Ethereum that they copied and gave me and then sell it within the PulseChain ecosystem, get like USDC and then like bridge it out of the PulseChain ecosystem? Or is there a kicker where you can't bridge it outside of the ecosystem, therefore you can't duplicate the value? I don't know. This is very interesting. Maybe you could give me some of that. See, here we go. See, this makes sense. He says, nah, you got a copy of like DAI tokens, right, on PulseChain, but not the money value. But the free copied tokens are worth something currently and maybe worth more in the future. So, J-Dub, if I had $10,000 in Ethereum and then they did the state copy and they launched PulseChain, I don't have $10,000 of Ethereum because I didn't transfer over the monetary value, but I do have, say, whatever it was, 6 Ethereum, 7 Ethereum, and then it kind of started over at 0. Is that what it is? Like, the value of it kind of started at 0, and so over time it may grow to be worth. Does that mean that Ethereum on PulseChain has a totally different monetary value than Ethereum on the Ethereum chain? I think you're going to understand what we're talking about. Funny you said DAI because PDAI, PulseChain copied, has some of the biggest token narrative on the chain, but that's a whole nother story. You know, now that I mention it, I've heard a lot of people associated with PulseChain mention PDAI, which if I'm remembering correctly, DAI is a stablecoin, right? So I could see why people it'd be like USDC or something like that. Anyways, we got off on a bit of a tangent, but it's really nice to have somebody here who knows a little bit more about this than I do. That's the power of community, and that's what Underground Crypto is all about. It's about the community and people who are niched and into certain things who really bring in that value when we need it. All right, let's move on here. ERC20 contract state, right? We did that. NFT ownership record. So now this is starting to make a little bit of sense. See, like I said, it sounded way too good to be true that all your value just doubled. Like you own $1 million in Ethereum, they do the whole thing, and then you have another $1 million. That doesn't make any sense because an ecosystem wouldn't be able to survive. Where would all that money be coming from? It just wouldn't make any sense. And of course, issuers and bridges and people would not recognize random made up value. NFT ownership records also would have been copied. The contract could still record that a particular address owns a particular token ID, which could be cool. Maybe if that project came over to PulseChain, you could use your NFT copy as utility or something, right? Even if it doesn't carry the value. Smart contract code and storage. So contract logic, stored variables and existing user positions were reproduced. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about what was copied from Ethereum to the PulseChain ecosystem when they took the snapshot and launched the PulseChain ecosystem. Or blockchain, you could say. Hex stake rewards were also copied because active Hex stakes were stored inside the Hex contract. Those stake records also existed in a PulseChain copy. Existing DeFi positions, liquidity pool balances, and other contract positions could be copied at the state level. State meaning memory. I want to re-infer that. Although their future economic usefulness depended on whether the surrounding system continued to function. What was not copied? I guess we were getting to my question. I just got a little bit ahead of myself. Again, everybody big up J-Dub for coming and hanging out with us and helping us understand this PulseChain Hex dynamic ecosystem, blockchain, whatever you want to call it. All the facets, right? And hopefully, J-Dub, you continue to do that. But it would be nice if all of our undergrounders would thank him for being here so we could show our support. And J-Dub, hopefully you join that Discord. So what was not copied? Because we just talked about what was copied. Let's talk about what was not copied. Market prices. And again, dollar value. So the state, the memory, copy could reproduce how many tokens and addresses held. It could not command the market to value those tokens at the same price. Issuers' reserves. Copying a USDC balance did not create another dollar inside Circle's reserve account. Basically, what we were just talking about. Redemption rights. An issuer does not owe redemptions merely because somebody copied it. Contract onto an unsupported blockchain. If this type of thing existed, it would destroy the value of pretty much all crypto, right? And so basically, people would just be making random chains, copying random ecosystems, random blockchains, and then just extorting all the value, right? Like if you knew you could put $100 million in Ethereum or any Solana, and then copy them and then get that value doubled, it would destroy cryptocurrency. It would destroy the value of all of it. All right. External liquidity. Ethereum exchange liquidity was not copied. Market makers and centralized exchange order books did not automatically appear over on PulseChain. It didn't start operating or supporting the copied version on PulseChain. Oracle services. A copied price feed contract may contain an old stored value. That does not mean authorized Oracle operators will continue to update it. The front ends of things, a smart contract might exist while the project's official website remains connected only to Ethereum and not PulseChain. But it sounds like it would make it really easy for that smart contract or that project to come over to PulseChain and start operating immediately with most of their stuff already up, just maybe an update needed. Administrative support, of course. Copied contracts may depend on the owner, mentor, and administrator keys. The original team may never use those keys on PulseChain. Brand recognition. A ticker and logo can be copied. A company or protocol associated with them does not have to recognize that copy. Kind of the same thing as any stablecoin or anything. The issuer is not required to recognize those as legitimate. Think of it like counterfeit. I'm not trying to call PulseChain counterfeit, but technically all the USDC, Ethereum, all those things are a copy. And if like USDC wanted to get mad about it, they could probably consider it a counterfeit and therefore not recognize it. The 3 PulseChain asset categories. All right, let's lock in, guys. Only Melissa thanked J-Dub for being here. Come on, guys. We could do better than that as a community. I understand 00 Zoe is watching from a TV, so that's understandable. But where are my other people at? Where's Blues Guy? Where's Stregaheart? John 316, if you're still here, Plague Dogs, Camsta. It's not very often that I try to twist y'all arm, but let's thank somebody who's coming in and being a part of this. So the 3 PulseChain asset category. Let's lock in. Native PulseChain assets. These originate as part of PulseChain or are intentionally deployed there. These examples include PLS, PLSX, and this INC, which you hear talked about far less often. J-Dub says, I appreciate it. I don't have Discord currently, but that may change going forward. And he's got the salute. All right, but I appreciate you. And if you did, it would be great to have you around. We really are a small community and we're pretty tight knit. So somebody who's big into PulseChain, you'll find a lot of friends here in this community. All right, their value comes from their use, supply, liquidity, and market demand. By the way, J-Dub, I don't know where you live or what your time zone is. 8:30 p.m. New York time, Monday through Friday. 8:30 New York p.m. is when we go live. That's when we do this show, if you care to know. Saturday's actually at 10 p.m. New York time, and you can relate that to wherever you live because I am not real good at figuring out all the time zones. So their value comes from their use, supply, liquidity, and market demand, not from an external reserve. So it seems like everything kind of starts over on PulseChain. This is so insightful because what we're talking about here is basically, I feel like, what begins to unlock your understanding of PulseChain ecosystem, because basically that's when it was incepted this is what happened, this is what they did, and this is what all the rest of everything else is based off of. So, fork copy asset. These appeared because Ethereum's contract state existed at the snapshot. Examples include the copied version of Hex, DAI, as you hear often that PDAI referred to within their ecosystem, right? USDC, and many other Ethereum tokens. And I'm pretty sure for the most part, you just kind of put like a P in front of any of these, and you have that the PulseChain version. Some of them I think use an X, but I'm pretty sure like it's PUSDC. If that's not 100% accurate, then feel free to, correct me there. So a fork copy asset was not created by locking Ethereum's original. Therefore, it has no bridge claim on that original. It's a good point. If Ethereum as a blockchain decided it was moving to PulseChain, it could lock all those original things up and transfer over the value, but that would have really required participation from Ethereum and also for them to basically shut down the original Ethereum chain, which was not going to happen for PulseChain's sake. Bridged assets, right? A supported Ethereum asset is deposited into a bridge contract. A corresponding representation is then created on PulseChain. When properly returned, the PulseChain represented is burned and the Ethereum asset is released. This is how the bridge works over on PulseChain. The representation is backed by something locked on the other side, but its redeemability depends on a bridge continuing to function correctly, meaning if you have any problems with the bridge, that could lead you to some serious problems down the line. A stablecoin case study. So a functioning dollar-backed stablecoin requires more than an ERC-20 contract, right? The contract alone is how it functions, but that's not who's guaranteeing that there's actually value to move around. For native USDC, Circle provides reserve assets, actual assets and money, issuance and burning, redemption infrastructure, regulatory compliance systems. USD Circle is required to have that sorted out with the regulator, right? Not Ethereum. Contract administration and official network support. Circle says native USDC is fully backed and redeemable 1-to-1 for dollars. It's currently listed on 35 supported networks. So if you're not inside one of those 35 supported networks, your USDC is not backed by Circle specifically. And PulseChain is not among them. Therefore, the copied USDC contract on PulseChain does not receive Circle's reserve backing merely because it resembles Ethereum's USDC. It can still trade, people can still speculate on it, a liquidity pool can assign its price. But that price comes from market trading, not Circle's $1 redemption promise. A bridge representation of Ethereum's USDC is different though. It may be backed by actual Ethereum USDC locked in a bridge. However, it then carries bridge risk in addition to USDC issuer risk, so you got double risk. Why copied Hex is different from copied USDC, and I think it's because Hex is already a part of that ecosystem, so it's highly more likely to be recognized. Minecraft says I'm cold. We'll turn the air down. Get some blankets. All right, Hex does not depend on a company holding dollar reserves. It's time locking. We went over in pretty good detail yesterday Hex and its time locking, right? Shares and inflation rules operate primarily through its smart contract. Because the contract and stake storage were copied, the PulseChain instance, right, could continue functioning independently. That does not make the two Hex markets identical. After the fork, they went their separate ways. Each contract possessed different transactions. New stakes existed only on the network where they were created, so anything after it forked. Share rate histories could diverge. Daily payout conditions could diverge. Market prices and liquidity developed independently. Ending a stake on one network did not end the other. You had to end it on both of them if you were trying to end it and not get penalized. There could also be Hex. Tried to combine the word bridge and Hex. There can also be Hex bridge from Ethereum onto PulseChain. That bridge representation is different from a native fork copy Hex contract. This is why E-hex and P-hex shorthand can become confusing. And hopefully we're going to get to the bottom of this. Network contract and origin matter more than a nickname. NFTs were copied, but their ecosystems were not. Suppose an Ethereum NFT contract said your wallet owned number 500, right? That ownership record could be reproduced, that you own, the 500th NFT. But several other components might not follow along. The image could be hosted on an outside server. The metadata provider could ignore PulseChain altogether. The official marketplace might support only Ethereum, and the creator might recognize only the Ethereum collection. Highly likely that the creator would only recognize the Ethereum collection as legitimate. Royalties and trading liquidity might not even exist on the copied network, and the ownership record is only one component of an NFT's value, not the complete product. Why some copied applications became unusable. A smart contract rarely operates in complete isolation, meaning it's attached to many other things. An application might require a price oracle, a centralized API, a supported stablecoin administrator, a liquidation bot, a user interface, active liquidity provider, another contract on which it depends. Even if one critical dependency does not operate on PulseChain, that copied application may exist technically while remaining economically unusable. Code being present is not the same as a functioning product. Again, APIs, other things that are involved, Oracle data feeds, are what make something function and work. Just copying its smart contract does not give you all those other, resources. So the same address trap. A copied contract can have the same hexadecimal address as Ethereum and PulseChain. That does not mean it represents the same economic asset. A complete identifier requires at least one of these, I believe, at least a network plus contract address. Ethereum and PulseChain also have different chain IDs, right? So they wouldn't be completely identical. PulseChain uses ID 369. Very interesting. That's some Tesla numbers for you. Bridge representation will generally use different PulseChain contract addresses from forked copy tokens because the bridge must issue a separate identifiable claim. Never verify a token by its name or ticker alone. You really need deeper metadata to verify. How's our coin doing, Melissa? Has it moved at all? Oh wow, it dumped really hard. Who saw that coming? Well, what do we do about that? Buy a little bit more. That's why I didn't buy much of it. Anyways, get back on track here. Why a forked copy cannot simply become the original. I think you could kind of figure out why this is. Imagine that a person received 1,000 copies of DAI at PulseChain Genesis. No one locked 1,000 Ethereum DAI to create that copy, meaning the value isn't transferred. That's why all this locking of an asset is so important, because when you lock the value somewhere else and it can't move, it's locked and it can't move, meaning the value can be transferred somewhere else. You can't have both existing and duplicate value, because what are you going to duplicate all the money? That makes no sense. It appeared because the contract state was reproduced. Therefore, the official lock and mint bridge has no corresponding Ethereum deposit to release because it never existed. A fork copy token cannot become the original Ethereum asset simply because the user attempted to send it through a bridge. There must actually be backing monetary value on the other side. That is a fundamental difference between a ledger copy and a bridge claim. There's a lot of deep sauce here. PulseChain asset safety checklist. All right. So before purchasing, swapping, or bridging an asset, ask yourself these questions. What network am I connecting to? Is it PulseChain or is it Ethereum? What is the exact contract address on the particular network that you're using? Is it the asset native or a copied or bridged asset? If it claims to be backed, where is the backing? USDC or a stablecoin is a good example. Who provides redemption? Is the issuer officially supporting the network? on their website. Can you find any information? ChatGPT probably highly useful. Does the asset have real liquidity at all? What slippage would be a meaningful sale produce, right? So would you have high slippage, maximal extractable value, a MEV attack, sandwich attacking, all kinds of things, front running, back running? Does the token depend on an oracle or an administrator? Am I using a verified application? Basically, are you using something legitimate? Never enter a seed phrase to claim a PulseChain copy, because then you just gave away your seed phrase. Never trust a dollar estimate displayed by a wallet without verifying the actual asset and market. 13, and I know we're going hard tonight. Who's with me? The balanced asset from the state copy. So a state copy gave PulseChain several advantages. So here's where I'm hoping we're having the eureka moment where we're figuring out why they did this. So users arrived with familiar accounts and familiar assets. Okay, I can see how that would be a plus. We're going to try to move a little slow through this so we can try to process. Hex stakes could continue in parallel environments. All right, I can see the advantage to that. Developers had a populated EVM state instead of an empty chain, so developers had something to work with. Users could experiment with copied contracts at lower transaction costs. So I guess the fees on Ethereum were completely different than the fees on PulseChain. Very interesting. The ecosystem gained immediate awareness in token inventory. That's pretty cool. Somebody didn't have to go add all of these things, right? Although I feel like if they did, maybe they could have got people on board, but maybe that was never going to happen because it's PulseChain, Richard Hart, Hex, all of that stuff. It also created some serious complications, and that's kind of what is just really sticking out to me. No, I don't think your chat is broken. Strugahart just commented, and Melissa says it went down some. Yeah, it did. I bought 0.05 to start with, which is like $4. So I bought another $4. Only Melissa knows what I'm talking about. It also created serious complications. Thousands of copied assets had uncertain functionality, right? So a lot of the things on there, it was just very uncertain if they worked or didn't work. So how would you know if you really wanted to use them? Stablecoins copied could appear safer than they actually were. Duplicate names and addresses created a bunch of confusion. Scammers gained new claim site and fake token opportunities. I'm sure that probably wasn't great. Most copied projects did not officially adopt PulseChain. To this day, I bet you most of them did not adopt PulseChain. Market value had to be rebuilt independently. So like the actual monetary value of something had to be rebuilt completely. The technology of copying state is neutral. Its value depends on the user, developers, liquidity providers, and infrastructure team built after the copy. I think here's maybe a good way to say this. I'm making this off the cuff as we're coming to the end of this educational IQ raising segment. Say you had two different planets or two different universes. Planets might be a better example, right? And we take something like gold or silver, which here on Earth has a lot of value. Let's say we found another planet off into the solar system somewhere, right? And they have their own planet similar to Earth, but different stuff, right? And we take something like gold or silver on a spaceship to this new planet. And we show up and we're like, look at this gold. We would like to buy a continent. You know, we want to buy some land so that we could bring humans here because we think this is an amazing planet. And you guys haven't heavily populated it. There's plenty of room for us. We want to move in, all right? But we want to buy it. We don't want to come here and just show up and take over. All right, this is getting a little out of hand, but hopefully you understand. So the point is that we bring some kind of something, gold, silver, whatever, that we believe has value. But there's nothing to say on this new planet that the beings there assign any value. Maybe they value, I don't know, something else, trees, seashells, animals. Maybe they have no sense of money at all. Maybe it's a foreign concept to them altogether. The gold could be worth astronomical value to them because they don't have it on their planet, or their planet could be made of gold and it could have no value, right? There could be so much gold on their planet that the gold we bring them, they're just like, we don't need that. It's like rocks, right? It's like if we brought a bunch of shells, or if they brought from their planet a bunch of shells and a bunch of rocks, we would look at them in sticks. We'd be like, yo, we have this everywhere. This has no value. My point here, maybe you get it, maybe you don't, is about value. And value is not automatically adopted on PulseChain. I don't know if that worked or not, but it was fun to try. Who's with me? Who liked my analogy? Who got my analogy is the big question here. And let's move right along. So Blockworks is great for looking at the top gainers, top losers, but also chain revenue, ETF inflows, outflows. There's so much information on this. I wish I could stream 24/7. I really, really, really do, because we would have so much fun. Gainers. Pi Network's up 13%. I have to say, and I haven't dug into it, I'm not somebody who mined Pi back in the day. I really wasn't. So a lot of times I tend to not spend too much time on Pi Network. Pi Network has done a good job of being relevant. For a random phone app that you can mine a cryptocurrency, they must have did it right. And I'm just taking a moment to appreciate that as I see them as a top gainer, because who would have thought back then that Pi Network would even be relevant, right? Lido DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. Take any chance I can to remind you of that crypto IQ. And liquid staked ETH, or LSETH. Very interesting. Top losers, though, what do we got? When your top loser of the day is under 5%, you're having a pretty good day here in crypto. Canton Network. Is it going to drop down to that 8 cents? I want to see that thing at 8 cents so I can scoop a big bag of it. How big? That's a matter of perspective. I'll think it's big. You might think it's not. All right, where are we going with that? Hilarious. Let's go to Chainers. Welcome to the Underground Crypto Hangout part of the show. We're going to do our regular Chainers, and then we're going to switch into the members only live stream. If you want to come hang out with us and the members only live stream, let me tease a new game that we're playing. It's called Lumina. I found it on Twitter. Shout out to Reliable J. And yeah, it's basically Pokemon, but it's really cool. That's what I have to say. You rather grew up playing the Pokemon games or you didn't. I have seen Stregaheart says thanks again. Absolutely welcome. I hope you come to the members only live stream sometime, Stregaheart. Oh, I can't get on. I don't know what you can't get on. Anyways, I've seen a lot of people try to reproduce this Pokemon style thing. And by the way, there's a game coming out called Yakamon that is made by the Sunflower team. We love DeFi gaming here at Underground Crypto, because DeFi gaming is like what gaming should be. Like, if you buy a skin, it should have a value. I should be able to sell it. I bought it. Why can't it have a value? Why can't I sell it when I'm done with it, when I don't want it anymore? When I hold it in a game for 10 years and it becomes an OG, skin or item or whatever, and it's worth a lot more, I should be able to capitalize because I spent my money on it in the first place. Now, that's assuming that you actually paid real money for it. Anyways, my point is I've seen a lot of people try to reproduce Pokemon and not do a good job, which is always confusing to me, because you literally just do exactly what they did and copy it. Like, we don't need you to reinvent the wheel. We just need you to remake the game on blockchain. And Lumina really feels like they did that well. And it seems really cool. Now, how long it can hang out, how well it can do long term, how its economics are, it is a different story. Tokenomics, all that's a bit of a different story. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Yakamon coming out, will that create more hype around the narrative and maybe Lumina benefits for it, or will it steal a bunch of users away because it's 10 times cooler and well put together? It is made by the people of Sunflower Land, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm expecting Yakamon to be very well put together, but who knows? I could be very disappointed. So many things up in the air here in the world of crypto, in the world of blockchain, right? Minecraft for Kids, you have a membership, just so you know. You should be automatically ported over. Your account does have a membership. I know that. Huh, this is not loading. Very interesting. Let's open whatever this is. What do we get? A fertilizer. Did I already replant stuff in the farm? If I did, I'll have to wait some more. I did already replant. Dang it. I can't merge stuff together. Anyways, for those who don't know, this is Chainer's, link in the description. We've just been kind of mining some BNB. I've only ever spent $10 on this game because they had like a really good offer. And it's on Polygon, so if you actually want to use some money in here, you gotta use Polygon. They got a shop where you can buy things in the in-game currency and also in Polygon's USDT. I'm gonna hit that mini game real quick, but before I do, I am going to move. I'm gonna move us over to the members only stream countdown. There is a countdown before we go into the members only stream. So let's get that set up real quick. Members only live stream in, say, 5 minutes. That should be plenty of time. Let's see if we can do this in under 5 minutes. Get our NFT here, but we better move quick. All right. So let's try to get to 1,000. See if we could do it in under 5 minutes. I'm actually interested because I always feel like this takes like 2 minutes to do. It might take longer than that. So if I don't do it in under 5 minutes, then I'll know that it's not as quick as I think it is. Who's coming over to the members only live stream with me? Let me know. I'm going to show you a new game that I'm interested in, that I'm playing. We're going to look at some pump.fun type stuff. And then, of course, the members only live stream is for the members. If nobody pipes up and says anything, I'm going to kind of do my own thing. But it is a great time for you to come over, ask questions, instigate. It's a weird way to say it, but instigate a deep dive maybe of something that you're interested in. You wanted to take time. Members only live stream is great for that. Hopefully the shills never figure that out, because they'll be trying to shill stuff for $3.99. Have to raise that membership. The shills figure this out. Wink, wink, nod, nod. All right. All right, if you don't have a membership, I don't know what to tell you. We'll have to figure that out another time, okay? We will be porting over in 3 minutes to the members only live stream, regardless. You're freezing up some. All right, just keep an eye on it. Let me know if I keep freezing up. I don't know why now. Feet don't fail me now. I don't know why it'd be a problem now, but guess the internet does what the internet wants to do, right? Maybe it's freezing up because it's getting ready to port me over. All right, I think we're gonna do this. All right, we got to 1,000 before the 5-minute countdown, so that's pretty good. That means it really doesn't take very long to do this. All right, let's let him take us out here. Get our free item. Am I still freezing? I would like to know. All right, we got a dragon fruit seed. That helps, I guess. Anything helps day after day. Let's see how much BNB we got. 0.047, almost 0.005. Let's hope the BNB goes up a lot, because then it'll be worth a lot more, right? Hit one round of roller coin. We got a minute before we port over to the members only live stream. If you don't know what we're doing. Oh, we didn't do the news today. All right, that kind of sucks, but oh well. And here we are on Lumina. So many good DeFi games out all of a sudden. It really switched quick. We didn't really have any good games to play for a while, and now there's several. Fire not very effective against water. Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that possible? Tackle's probably better. Dang, he stopped at 3%. I don't know if I have one of these. Let's catch this guy. Hit that bag, and let's see if we can catch this tadpole. For whatever reason, I've never caught one of these. It says skipping